We'll have to do a little backstory how we got here. The Heartbeat Act was signed into law, Texas Senate Bill 8 back in 2021. Texas only does their legislative session for 5 months every other year, all right? So that's the limit of time we have to get things done in Texas. So signed into law June, Heartbeat Act. What made this Heartbeat Act different from other states have passed heartbeat laws that typically nothing really happens because a whole bunch of DAs have said, well, you can pass what you want, but we're not going to enforce it. Texas's law was civil enforcement, which meant a citizen could sue an abortion doctor for committing an abortion. So we sat around the office and went, okay, we actually got this law through. What's the plan? So the plan was we would set up an anonymous tip site to collect information on these doctors who are allegedly committing abortions. Could we get enough information that we could do an investigation after that and hold them accountable? So, fast forward a little bit. Pro-Life Whistleblower goes live in July. While prepping for this, I realized we are 2 years and a day from me purchasing this domain. So the site goes live. And it's really, do you want to join the team? Do you want to volunteer to help in some way? Or do you have some information you'd like to share with us? This is July. The laws in Texas, they get signed in June, they go into effect in September. So nothing has really happened with this law. We cannot tell. The industry is not saying what they're going to do. They intend to abide by the law. They intend to just go, yeah, whatever, we're going to do our thing. So nobody's talking about it, and our media communications director, she handles marketing, PR, those kinds of things. She's sitting in her office really contemplating, like, nobody cares that we made this thing. And her phone rings. God sets you up sometimes. Her phone rings and it's Vice News, and she knows if I take this interview, there's gonna be news about this. She's thinking, her job is to get our stuff into the media, right? So she's thinking, all right, well, maybe somebody will care. So she takes the interview. This is Thursday, August 19th. Takes the call. It's the end of the day. She didn't tell anybody else, and she went out of town on Friday. So Friday afternoon, August 20th, 2021, the article hits. Website wants people to snitch on abortions. Sort of. The spin was that we were doxing women, that we were going to sue women for this. That is not what the law said. That is not allowed under the law. It was purely the clinics and doctors who were breaking the law. Cue the mob. So apparently Texas has passed some asinine abortion law, yada, yada, yada. So it's, hey, let's poison their data set. Let's fill their site full of junk data and fill out all manner of forms and try and take this thing down. So it begins. Looking back, I really associate with it in here. Like, okay, it's just us and this wall. God help us. Reddit lights up over the weekend. Calling to DDoS. I'd screenshotted some of these. This is blatant violation of Reddit's terms. You are encouraging people to commit cybercrime against somebody. Links to the tools, here's how to do it. They invited people to attack us. The witches versus patriarchy Reddit. That was, in the beginning, I kind of laughed at some of these because it was a little funny. Burn the patriarchy! Whatever. So, about this new law, anti-choice Texas, it's bad. Yada, yada, snitch on your neighbors, dox women. They're casting digital hexes on us. Whatever that means. So, the Friday night the article dropped, I'm working at my church. We were doing a new AV install. I'm working at my church, and I start getting like, hey, we're getting some weird stuff through the website. can you like turn off those emails? The law doesn't go into effect for like 2 weeks, so just if you could take care of that. Yeah, sure. I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm CC'd on these things. I'm like, that's weird. Don't think anything of it, because I don't know there's a Vice article at this point, and I don't know that Twitter and Reddit are so mad. So, continues, Satanic Temple Reddit. If you don't know what side of history we're standing on, right? Satanic Temple Reddit. Call for trolls, go to the website, fill it full of spam. So next week we went from 10 submissions an hour to 500 plus a minute. I think at the highest points it got into 5,000 a minute. It was ridiculous. So obviously, million plus trash submissions. I had a rolling blacklist. It was for hours after you do the submission, then you couldn't make another submission for a certain amount of time. International traffic was banned, but I still had 70,000 rolling IP addresses just in that ban. So this is bogging the server down. It starts to get in your head. And I'm gonna play some phone calls. We were getting, at the worst, 200 to 400 a day, lighting up our phones. We eventually just forwarded everything to voicemail so we could weed through it, because you'd answer the phone and get the vilest interaction you've ever had in your life. I debated whether or not to do this. I debated whether or not to play them. These are the ones I'm comfortable sharing.
You guys are fucking pieces of. I wish the worst on you and your families. In fact, if I were a witch, I'd be putting a curse on you right now. Because you guys are worthless. You guys are worthless. Banning abortions after 6 weeks. Not allowing victims of rape, incest, to get an abortion. You guys can rot in hell when you die. However long that'll be, I don't know. I hope you have short lives, though. You know, like if you're in a plane, I hope it crashes. If you're in a car, I hope it crashes. I hope you're sleeping and you get carbon monoxide poisoning. I hope you're sleeping and your house burns down. Yeah, that's what I hope for all of you pieces of literally worthless. You guys are worthless. You guys should have been aborted. You guys should have been aborted. Rot in hell. Go yourself. And no, do not call me back.
Hello! I love to perform abortions in my own house and then pickle the babies and eat them because I just love Satan. Oh my God! I love Satan so much. You know the best thing to go with a pickled baby is a chili pepper? Oh my God! It's the only thing that we should be doing at all whatsoever the baby's in pregnancy. Don't you think? Have a nice day!
You need to fix your website so we can call you Nazi pedophiles some more. You child molesting losers! Get out of our country, you weird freaks! You hate America, you hate Jesus Christ! You're all child molesters! Die! Die, losers! You should have been aborted! You should have been aborted, you cowards! You Trump anti! Go 45 needs to die! Please die! Cowards! I hate you all, and you hate yourselves. You hate babies, but you're madly in love with fetuses. Cowards! 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 Go 45 needs to die, and you agree. Pedophiles!
Hey, I just want you guys to know that you guys are absolute human garbage. I really do hope every single one of you dies. Who the are you to tell other people how to live their life? I bet you guys aren't even about that stupid mask mandate either. But when it comes to someone else's body, you guys are trying to take control. Please call me back. I would like to tell you to your face how much of a absolute piece of you guys are. Thank you.
I just wanted to hear what a bunch of primitive like you phony f***ing Christians sound like. You're pathetic. I assume you come from a home where your parents were mentally deranged, because obviously you are. Anyway, I think that you're going to be getting a lot of phone calls in the future, you assholes. However, my best wish is that somehow, some way, some ISIS creep comes to America, takes you and your family, and on video, remove your heads and put them on a pike. Now that's what I love to see. You phony f***ing Christians who believe in a dead Jew as their God. You are a bunch of...
Turns dark real quick. Now, my desk is next to the couple ladies at the front. And so I hear them listening to these all day long. It gets in your head. Gets in your head. The three of us kind of shielded the rest of the office from a lot of it, but when that's what you hear 50 times a day, and this is the stuff I'll share in public, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. You expect this to be your front yard or your driveway or in front of your office the next day. Like, you're just waiting. Because this is 21. We watched the riots, right? So we've seen what the mob is capable of. So is this going to be your front yard? So hundreds of phone calls, hundreds of thousands of submissions. I will say, there was a group, or somebody, I don't know, that was submitting the entire script of the B movie over and over again. That one kind of made me laugh. When it was Shrek Porn Day, that was less entertaining. That was unpleasant. There were images, text to our main phone number, so the receptionists received those. Those poor ladies endured a lot. So for your front desk, if you have a phone system that can send things to voicemail, ban certain phone numbers, I recommend that. So by August 30th, this is day 11. Sued, doxxed, and depressed. So we were sued 3 times on the 30th. Lead staff members were named. Our legislative director, now President John Seago, Dr. John Seago, he finished that doctorate. Dr. John Seago was named specifically in the lawsuits. So these papers were served at his home. So now his home address was public file. He endured a lot. I think the more disturbing ones were members of our team received magazine subscriptions at her home to her kids' names. It was we know where you live, we know you have children, we know their names. Yeah. So the cases were filed in Austin in federal court with Judge Pittman. Judge Pittman, this is Austin. I don't know how familiar y'all are with Austin. It's the blueberry and the tomato soup of Texas, right? So Judge Pittman was in such a rush to hand the abortion industry the win, he ruled quickly, gave us something to appeal. We appealed the Fifth Circuit. The Fifth Circuit is a very conservative circuit. They went, nope, the law stays in place. They appealed to SCOTUS. This is now August 31st. The law goes into effect September 1. The Supreme Court sits on it, which means the Fifth Circuit, until the Supreme Court changes it, the Fifth Circuit stands. Supreme Court rules on September 2nd to let the ruling stand. So now the mob has lost in court, and now they're really going to lose their minds. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. And then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, "So may the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by this time tomorrow." And then he was afraid, and he arose and ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree, and he asked that he might die, saying, "It is enough. Now, Lord, take my life, for I am no better than my father's." The calls got uglier. Reddit got uglier. My wife read some of those posts on Reddit after I recommended she not. The ones that particularly got to her were I hope somebody rapes their daughters, so they have to have that rapist baby. I have 2 daughters. This stuff gets in your head. So Elijah, I feel you. Well, Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. So, it's September 3rd. We're kind of going into the desert. We are going into our wandering. So I'm going to give Gizmodo the credit here because the New York Times wanted me to pay $1 for a screenshot. I'm like, nah, you're not getting my money. You put me through enough, guys. So GoDaddy is officially canceling us. This was the article on the 3rd. We've informed pro-life whistleblower that they have 24 hours to move to another provider for violating our terms of service. Said spokesman, they informed the New York Times 24-hour window. Late Thursday. So this went to a side email that I'm not checking. I've got a lot going on. I'm not checking that email. So I did not see this. Here's what they actually sent. This is the email. Sorry, madam, we are taking action under universal terms of service because violations, domain name, et cetera, et cetera. Essentially, you're doxing women and we're buying that story, so we're canceling you. Ars Technica contacts us. They want to comment. Now, that morning, of course, the website is absolutely getting trashed. We're barely keeping it online. And so we had a meeting about infrastructure changes and what we're going to do. I am sitting in my office loading up a GoDaddy cart. Okay, I am living in this account. I don't see any alerts. There's no notifications in the account, nothing. The only notification that I have been canceled is in an email in a box I have not checked. By the way, this is a holiday weekend coming up. So, Kim comes running in the hall, hey, is this true? Let me check. So fortunately, I had not spent a whole bunch more money on this project with GoDaddy. So, yes, it's true. And now it is Friday afternoon, and I have about 6 or 7 hours to do something, or this whole project is dead. Their goal is we are seen as the arbiters of the law in this. So if they can make us shut up and go away, presumably everybody else will shut up and go away. So we are canceled. Now, I had some friends who were mutual friends through my work who were trying to create a place for those who were canceled to go. They weren't quite ready to turn up yet, but they were going to help however they could. So they were going to effectively have us uncanceled. So, cue the weirdest series of phone conversations I've ever had. Well, maybe not ever, but it's on the list. So I have my associate is trying to basically get through voicemail labyrinth to get to GoDaddy. It is, Friday afternoon of a holiday weekend, so nobody's real quick to answer the phone. He eventually gets passed to the office of the CEO, who never answered the phone. And so he's doing that. Legal counsel is trying to get a cease and desist letter because GoDaddy is saying we've violated terms of service while they also host Crime Stoppers. an anonymous tip site. So we're citing that. And I'm trying to move resources to my friends at Patmos, like the Isle of Patmos where John was exiled. So I get a call from Patmos, and this is probably about 5:30 in the evening. I've got 2.5 hours left. And they go, hey, Rob wants to talk to you. I'm like, Rob? Rob from Epic, Rob Monster from Epic, the CEO. Sure, why not? Okay, great. Because this is where they're trying to move the domain registration to. He was less than happy because somebody, presumably at one of these big tech firms, had tipped the media off that we were moving and who we were moving to, and he had the media contacting him asking for a statement on taking on this vigilante website. So he was less than happy. And he was like, you couldn't at least give me the courtesy of a phone call? And I was like, well, sir, I don't typically keep the phone numbers of big tech CEOs in my contact list. It's not really how I live my life. At that point, at that stage anyway, that's not how I was living my life. And so he wanted to speak to my supervisor. So I called the boss and passed phone numbers. And so now there's a conversation happening about whether or not this is going to move forward. It is completely out of my control. I have no idea what's going on. And I am in full panic mode because I'm like, I've lost. It's over. I'm done. I've lost. But the Lord provides. Rob was mostly upset about getting blindsided. So he was supportive and moved the domain. So we are uncanceled-ish. Patmos wasn't quite ready to turn up their stuff, so they're running in DigitalOcean. And so the site's kind of in DigitalOcean, and the domain registration then moves to Epic. So the DigitalOcean thing, DigitalOcean wants to cancel us too. So we point the website, whistleblower.com, to the main site, TexasRightToLife.com, until we can figure out the next plan of action. GoDaddy did restore the server after the lawyers finally caught up with things. But at this point, I mean, it's all moved somewhere else, so whatever. The heat's off of them, so what do they care? So, just pro tips. Have a plan. Know what your terms of service are and how they might get used against you. Know who your lawyer is, because in that 7 hours, I didn't have time to find one. I already knew who they were, and we had them start moving. Have your backup plan. Have a quick copy of your files, a reasonably recent copy of your stuff. These are standard practices. So the Satanic Temple begins trying to play the religious right card, that this is the ritual of abortion is a religious right. So that's how things are going. Yeah, shocked and appalled. Yep, okay. So we are uncanceled. Domains at Epic. Whistleblowers pointing to the main site. I've got RightForge, if you don't know. They're kind of they are a free speech hosting service. They believe in American values. They wanted my stuff too. So I've got like the two big tech conservative free speech orgs going, give us your stuff. And I'm torn between who to go to. Talked to my boss, and he was like, I am not qualified to help you make that decision. You have to make that decision. So you need to just go spend some time in prayer about that. So that is what I did. I came back and decided that the Lord wanted us to go to RightForge. So now the enemy has a new target. They're after the mothership now. Just to keep everybody on track of how quickly life is changing, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday was the holiday Labor Day. This moves so fast. So if you have some kind of plan, can put together the plan, do it before it happens, not after. I thought I had a pretty good plan, but when it came down to it, the test proved that it was less than adequate. So then the hacktivists came. So our office shut down because this is a holiday weekend. I don't have the kind of time I need to train and harden things. So we shut it down. I actually moved the hardware resources out. My pastor came and helped me move equipment because we were concerned that our facilities were no longer safe. Several other churches and pregnancy centers were vandalized in the area. So we obviously had concerns. So we hired off-duty officers to be in the office 24/7 and moved equipment back in, turned everything back on, and tried to move forward with our staff. Making adjustments in our phone system, installing some new cameras, those kinds of things. So your security plan, you really need to have one. Two-factor authentication on all your logins. I've got these little token guys. Nobody signs in my office without one. They're an inconvenience, but necessary. Solid passwords, obviously. Standard password policies, 14 to 16 characters. Complex passwords. Admins, 25 plus. Which is no fun. But you build up the muscle memory. It'll be fine. We had done phishing training with our staff a few months before the law even passed. We have meme chat in our office. You talked, previous gentleman talked about having chat in the office about that. So we have meme chat, and so there was that the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. This is a helpful tool that'll come in handy later. Little did we know how handy, because they had been trained, they had been tested. I experimented on. Did you guys pay attention? Those that failed learned real quick that there are penalties for failing. And so now when it's really on, we all succeeded. I would get forwarded emails, hey, does this look sketchy to you? I'm like, yes, it does. Thank you for not clicking things or responding with information. They got very advanced. Have physical access protocols. Like, don't just go, okay, the young lady at the front desk didn't just go, okay, hang on, let me go get them and leave a PC unattended signed in. Escort people places in your building. Don't just let unsupervised unknowns suddenly have access to things. Physical access is the quickest, easiest way. Cameras, alarms, safe meeting places are important. If we have codes in our office. There are certain names that can be paged of people who do not work at our office, and everybody knows this, that are, I need help at the front desk, get out the back doors, like those kinds of things. So somebody can page and let everyone know very quickly something has gone sideways. And people respond appropriately. My kids had to learn some protocols of, you're going to check the Ring camera coming home, check to make sure nothing's sketchy going on in front of the house. If there is, these are the neighbors you go to. This is the bus stop you get off on instead. Those kinds of things. This kind of stuff alters your entire life. My poor kids, they watch Dad melt down for weeks. Train, test it. Don't wait until there's actually an incident to find out if your plan works. Test it. Over the next few days, we were served a final total of 13 lawsuits. The cost so far, these are all still pending, is $300,000. This Monday, this week, the Third Circuit is the state court. The Third Circuit Court ruled against us. We are now appealing to the Supreme Court of Texas. This is day 22. With all the changes in the website structure, we were not receiving email notifications and forms filled out on the website. I was checking them manually. That morning, this is September 10th, leading to a very well-known day. Anxiety's a little high. I actually received a bomb threat through our website. I put a bomb in the mail, et cetera, et cetera. So, inform the appropriate people in the office. Go to the officer who's working the front desk that day. Fortunately, this was a gentleman who had previously worked a bomb unit. So he had some very particular advice on what to do. But he took it very seriously. And advice we call local authorities. So we call out, Bel Air PD comes out. A couple officers I've dealt with through this process. This is not the first time they've come to see me. An assistant chief, maybe, or sergeant, I don't remember, another gentleman. So we're all sitting in the conference room. One of our attorneys is sitting in the conference room. We're talking about this. I'm passing them the information I have, the threat, the IP address, the information I've dug up on the IP address. If you're dumb enough to fill this out without using a VPN, like, enjoy the knock at the door you're going to get. So while we are having this conversation, and if you walk in the front door of our office, there's reception, there's a couple desks beyond that, a couple ladies who are dealing with the phone calls, and there's a big glass conference room. I'm sitting where I'm facing the door, and I see the officer at the front desk and a postal worker walk in, our usual postal worker, with a package, and they're having a rather animated conversation about the package. And he gets up and comes in to the conference room and goes, I'm not going to tell you guys how to do your job, but you have a mysterious package at the front door, no return address, postage due, and it is all kinds of weird wrapped up. So do with that information what you will. So that changed the day. The bomb squad is called out. The building is cleared. We're not the only tenants in this office building. I think the ones I felt the worst for, there's a couple dentist offices in this building. And I'm just picturing Timmy in the back. I don't mean bomb. Like, just numbed up. And they're like, what do you mean we got drilling? What do you mean we got to clear the building? So everybody goes outside. The bomb squad does their thing. The other director that was in the office that day and I took our crew to lunch to just process. There's a young man by the name of George who, this was his first day. He started that morning with us. And we're like, we're never going to see George again. He's never coming back. He's going to go, what have I got myself into? George still works for us. He's a great guy. He works in our education department, works with college students. In the midst of all this, we have our annual fundraiser gala is in 8 days. So we are trying to sell tickets to an event to the general public while trying to secure everything. That's an adventure. So this is the 10th. We have a meeting with the officers after the package is dealt with. It was just junk in the mail, but it was meant to be threatening. Some news media accused us of planting it ourselves because they couldn't fathom that anybody on the other side would actually do anything like that. So we have a meeting and basically just talk like, hey, everybody needs to be security protocol guys. Like, you need don't be looking at your cell phone walking in and out of the building. Like, pay attention to odd cars in the parking lot, anybody loitering around that doesn't look like they belong there. We monitor our cameras a lot more. So we'll fast forward a couple days here. Anybody remember this guy, Operation Epic Fail? So Epic had also taken on Parler after they got canceled, Gab and 8chan and some of those other guys after the January 6th stuff. So they were a big old target. And this is probably one of the, I think, if not the largest data breach in history of 180 some odd gigs of content, passwords, security information, sites, traffic, VPN, account, all manner of information leaked. So Epic wanted out. They were like, we're out, we're done. There was more leading up to that, but Epic they were done. They had their own batch of problems. Remember how I didn't move my website to Epic? Because I spent some time in prayer. So my data didn't go with that hack. The Texas GOP site was turned into a gay porn site for a couple weeks. And they leaked every email the Texas GOP had since they had moved to Epic. It was ugly. So early in this process, a gentleman by the name of Nick Lim had contacted me with Van Wa. He actually hosts some neo-Nazi stuff, but he was like, look, I don't care. It's like free speech. You can say whatever you want. As long as you're not doing anything illegal, I don't care. We moved things to him for the time being. So we're uncanceled again, right? So now I've been canceled a couple of times. So websites at RightForge, domains at Van Wa, and our annual fundraiser is 5 days away. And normally I am extremely involved in the logistics of that event, the seating database check-in, the AV process. I do a lot of the graphics. I'm the AV guy at my church. Like I do a lot of the technicals and behind the scenes, and I am completely out of commission on this. I've lived all this other nonsense for weeks now. We're in day 20 something. So the DDoS attacks. I asked the team for a graph over at RightForge. Show me what my traffic is, so I have something to show with this dinner that we're talking about. And this really kind of hit how I had been feeling. Like the entire world had turned on me. The running joke was I'm the most hated website nobody'd ever heard, most hated IT guy, most hated website that nobody'd ever heard of. It's dark. It's depressing. The anxiety is high. You think that the mob is going to be at your front door at any moment. And the map shows the whole world had turned on us. The high end of that graphic there says 483,126. Hey, Indonesia, how you doing? I guess you can buy a lot of bots in Indonesia for relatively cheap. I don't know. So that's where we're at. The whole world is after this website. Anybody familiar with Spider-Man? So there's that interaction between Spider-Man and Cap. Doesn't matter what the press says. Doesn't matter what the politicians or the mobs say. It doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something wrong is something right. The nation was founded on one principle above all else, the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. That was the loneliest place I've ever been, and probably the lowest I've ever felt. All my friends went, I'm sorry you're going through this, man. But the fact was that this law, based on the average rate of abortion in Texas, was stopping about 150 a day. And I would just very calmly look at them and go, what would you do to save 3 busloads of kids every day? What would you endure? How many miles of glass would you crawl across to save 3 busloads of kids? Now, in any other circumstance, you save 1 busload of kids and you are a national hero. I'm holding the line for 3 busloads a day. And the world has turned on me. There was a point where my wife asked, I'd gotten job offers to go other places. You know, we'd achieved stuff, gotten notoriety, right? My wife asked me to take it because this was a lot. My kids are having a terrible hard time with this. They're watching Dad just be on the verge of meltdown at any moment. It's a Mark Twain quote. This is just part of it, but each must ask, words are hard. Each must for himself alone decide what is right and what is wrong, and which course is patriotic and which isn't. You cannot shirk this and be a man. To decide it against your convictions is to be an unqualified and inexcusable traitor to both yourself and to your country. Let men label you as they may. I told my wife I wouldn't be able to look in the mirror anymore. I wouldn't. I could not do it. And I did not do it. These things, there's kind of this plant a tree, stand by the river theme going on here. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord. And on this law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither, and all that he does prospers. I'm very thankful that my mom taught me this as a child. So back to Elijah. He laid down and slept under the broom tree. And behold, an angel touched him and said to him, "Arise, eat." And he looked, and behold, there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. And he ate, and he drank, and he lay down again. And the angel of the Lord came again a second time and touched him and said, "Arise, eat, for the journey is too great for you." And he rose and ate and drank and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God. I'll get to God's provision in the next couple of minutes, but the way you survive this mentally, emotionally, you have your church group. I have my men's group, I have my small group. I have 3 other guys on a group text that I send messages to when I'm in those places of I can't do this. That we pray for each other. One of them's my best friend, one's my pastor, one's my worship leader. These guys I've known for a while, one of them 20 some odd years. You need men or women of faith to walk with you. In the process of this, my church actually put me on staff. And I told my pastor, "Are you sure you want me on paperwork connected right now?" And he was like, "I'm picking a side." Why wouldn't I? I'm also going to say support others when you see them going through this. You see another church, another organization going through something like this, a phone call, an email. We got hundreds of angry ones. We got a handful of good ones. I want to play those for you as well.
Hi, my name's Sarah. I'm calling from the state of Idaho, and just reading a lot about how much hate you guys are receiving, and I just wanted to send love and prayers and just say there are a lot of people around the country, I know you know this, that are supporting Texas, and of course not just Texas, but anyone who is fighting against the evil abortion industry, the murder of innocent babies. So just wanted to say how much we are in support, and we know that we will prevail. God is on our side. So anyways, take care. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, I just heard a bunch of the voicemails that you guys have been receiving, I guess from pro-choicers, and hopefully I can brighten your day today by saying that you guys are doing an amazing job. I just think that people who really fight for the rights of unborn, the most innocent of lives, really, you guys are amazing heroes please, please do not be discouraged by what you are hearing. Know that your fight is for a greater good. And I continue to pray for you, the organization, and I pray for those pro-choicers that they have a change of heart, because really when you look at even like any religious debate just purely on science, you can see that the pro-life argument is it just makes the most logical sense. So please just know that there's a whole army of people backing you and backing your work, and please don't be discouraged by what you are hearing. Thank you.
Hey, just wanted to call. I absolutely support Texas Right to Life. I've testified on pro-life bills down there in Austin, along with you guys, and I'd heard the video that you guys compiled of just a few of the wonderful phone calls you got from folks. You know that you're doing something right. You know you're right over the target when you're getting a whole lot of incoming ordinance at you. So keep up the fight. Keep what you're doing. Keep it up. You know, we're doing God's work. And God bless you. And just wanted to give you my 2 cents of support, my words of support and then encouragement. Those folks are obviously demonically possessed, some of them at least. And wow, I'm sorry that they're so hateful. But may God deliver them from their deception and their spiritual bondage, and keep on saving babies. Appreciate y'all. God bless.
So September 18th, 2021, the protesters were organizing. We had our dinner in Houston on the 18th and the Dallas-Fort Worth area on the 26th. The protesters were organizing to show up, so we hired a lot of security. 20 some odd officers were there. We had record-setting attendance, record-setting donations. Protesters 6. They got confused which city we were in on what date. They literally posted be in Dallas on the 18th and Houston on the 26th. So 2 other dinners had a really weird time, I guess. But the wicked plots against the righteous and gnashes his teeth at him, but the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he sees his day is coming. You know, if that's not God confusing the plans of the wicked, I don't know what is. Let's jump to more recent events. June 24th, 2022. Roe v. Wade is overturned with the Dobbs v. Jackson ruling in the Supreme Court. The Texas trigger bills go into effect over the next few weeks, and abortion is illegal in Texas. And on that historic day, we sat on our daily Bible study. We went around and we were talking about things that we were thankful for. And when it got to me, I said, the events around the Heartbeat Act. Because we have protocols. We know what to do now. At this point, the mob coming after us was old hat. We knew what to do. I made 2 changes in the phone system. Everybody had security protocols we lived by. It wasn't as big a deal. The Lord provided training and experience, guidance, other resources to go to as needed. Some of these were not contacts I knew. Some of them were contacts that called me disgruntled to begin with, but worked with us even for a couple of weeks. The Lord provided everything we needed. So I'm going to close with this. But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies are never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul, and therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. The Lord is my portion, says my soul, therefore I will hope in him. you guys want to keep up with what we're doing, what's going on in Texas, and as we're helping other states with their laws, you can text pro-life to 40237. You can follow the Pro-Life podcast at prolife.show, our website at texasrighttolife.com, txrtl.com for the shorthand version. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for letting me share this with y'all. I hope it helps.
I just want to say that thank you for coming to the Digital Catacombs. This conference was designed to hear stories just like yours, and to hear about your bravery in the face of satanic persecution. It's an amazing thing. God be praised that He gave you the strength and the grace to endure it all, trusting in Him to see you through it. You know, I was thinking about Matthew chapter 5. The Satanists come after you and say such vile things against you. You know, Jesus says, "Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven." That is a promise for you and for all of the Christians who have been fighting for the lives of the babies in Texas and throughout this country and everywhere else in the world. You know, so God be praised, and thank you for everything you've done, especially in telling us about the digital aspect of this. How, you know, Satan picks up any sort of tool that he has at his disposal to combat Christians and the church and the people who love the lives of the babies. And so I think especially the really practical advice, you know, on how to just take simple steps to protect yourselves is invaluable, you know. And you know what that you heard from that caller on there, that, you know, you were getting flack because you were over the target area. It was absolutely right. And hopefully when we are as bold as you have been to confess Jesus, to speak out openly and unashamed for the lives of the unborn and for God's truth in this world, we should also expect similar things, and we should learn from you and others who have been like you in those same positions, so that we can, you know, gain wisdom from the hard cross that you've had to carry. So I do want to ask you just a really simple question. As you were going through this, you mentioned very helpfully that you had a prayer group, that your pastor was in constant contact with you, and I just wanted to ask, especially for you and your family, what passages or promises from the scriptures that you found most helpful to get you through from day to day?
Read several. I find a lot of help in music, in worship music. That's actually my origins in IT are back in Christian radio. And I had my playlist, my worship playlist, that I would keep pumping myself full of to counterbalance what I'm hearing at the desk next to me. It is well with my soul is a favorite. I can't think of its other particular verses, but what you read, Matthew, often I would go to going, okay, well, this is what Jesus said. He asked us to pick up a cross, not a cup of coffee and a bag of donuts. And, you know, this is not like, here's your treats, go on your way. It was, here's a cross. It's a tool of torture. So just to keep myself in perspective of, this is what I signed up for. Just a lot of the Psalms, David's laments at times. that God is good even in these terrible moments. It's so hard to keep in perspective when you're in it. So, yeah, staying in Scripture, staying in. The prophets all had their moments of depression and darkness. And it's actually encouraging to see that there are others who wanted to crawl in a hole and die and just be done in those moments. But then the angel of the Lord comes and gives you what you need. What I didn't come back to, that second round of Elijah's bread and water sustaining him through. What happened on the 18th at the Houston dinner was record-setting numbers that have carried us through all of the nonsense since then. Because that record attendance, some of that was people who just wanted to be part of the big night. And then they walked away. There are people who, once Roe was overturned, went, "We did it, you guys, we're done." And that's been difficult. That has been difficult for us with a $300,000 legal bill and budget cuts and the ongoing, we don't know when the end of this is. The ongoing fight there, we're concerned that to lose is that the industry will go back. See, nobody's going to enforce this law back to the way things were. Although there are other laws that have banned abortion in Texas, the DAs of all the major cities have said, we're not going to enforce this. So, elections matter. But to answer your question, yeah, I've named several of them going to the prophets largely because they had their very dark places, and then God still ministering to them in those stories has helped kind of keep my head on straight. Anyone else? Well, thanks, y'all. I appreciate your time. Thank you for the invite. Go enjoy your lunch.